Hello and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at Future Energy Asia Summit and Exhibition 2024 in Bangkok. I'm delighted to have sitting next to me in the studio today, Dr. Tej Gidda, Global Lead for Future Energy at GHD. Tej, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And to start off with a very foundational question about the energy transition. So as energy demand increases across Asia, how can we make sure that going forward, the transition is not only sustainable, but also equitable and just?
That is the big question. And I think probably the most complex part of this, because we have to acknowledge that energy demand is going to increase as the economies in Asia start to develop. And I think one of the things we cannot do and must not do is hold those economies back by saying, you need to jump right to a renewables future if there's an intermediate pathway. So to me, this is about being pragmatic. What are the things that can help us with decarbonization in the near future? And what does the full future look like? So I think that it requires examination of all different approaches in very detailed, smart plans for decarbonization of the region. So I think that's the focus.
That's that's really great to know, because going forward, so there's a lot of discussions going around about the future energy mix.
Yeah.
And so what's your take on, how do you see that balancing between, let's say, fossil fuels versus renewables? What should be the mix in the short and the medium and long term?
Right now, we're still, 84%, 85% fossil fuels in the world. We're still dependent on fossil fuels. And that is also true of this region as well. And that's fine. We have to push for a renewables future. But how do we get there? And how quickly can we do that? And I think the other question there is, how much will that cost? Could we go to all renewables in Asia in the next 5 years? Maybe, but it would cost a lot of money and create a lot of disruption. So let's look at the first step. How do we get away from coal for power?
Yep.
So we have to get away from coal as a fossil fuel. Maybe we go to natural gas. And at the same time, let's look at how we can get away from natural gas. Let's look at how we can put more renewables on the grid, offshore wind, onshore wind, solar. Those resources are plenty here. It will take time to develop them. So we need to do all these things at the same time. That's the trick.
That's an excellent point, and which brings me to the next question about innovation. So there's a whole focus on innovation to get to that point of the energy transition. And what kind of approaches are you adopting to get there?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the ones that we put a lot of time into is hydrogen. So hydrogen is an emerging future fuel. It is by itself an energy storage vector. It's you can use it to create power. You can use it in transportation. You can use it in industry. But you can also use it to make fuels that we're already moving across the world. We can use it to make sustainable aviation fuel. So I think there's a lot more innovation required in making sure that the business cases for hydrogen as an ingredient of future fuels, but also by itself, are really emerging. So I think that's a very, very important one that is coming up right now.
And does that mean, so are you focusing essentially on green, or it's a mix?
To me, it's a mix. So the colors of hydrogen, green, blue, turquoise, white, all of them have a place to play. Not one of them will dominate. All of them have different price points. So we need to investigate which is the right color for the right situation. But we need to consider all of them.
Fair point. And I think there's, some of the discussions that we see here at Future Energy Asia is around that topic as well, that the spectrum of hydrogen and its deployment. So what are your thoughts about Future Energy Asia as a catalyst for low carbon energy solutions?
I think this is fantastic. The discussions I've had, and I've been able to present on e-methane, and I had a panel on LNG yesterday. So transition is exactly that word, and I hear the forces of transition here. I'm hearing a lot more at Future Energy Asia about LNG, moving away from coal, moving away from diesel, all very positive. But at the same time, I'm hearing discussions about hydrogen, ammonia, e-methane. All those things have to be wrapped into the envelope of the future as well. All those discussions are happening here. Electrification discussion is happening here. E-mobility is happening here. So these are the right discussions. The question is how quickly can we do this, because we know we have to move fast. So I love the conversations. What we need is absolutely action. We need projects. We need capital moving into the market to actually make these things real.
That's a very optimistic note, and looking forward to some of that action taking place soon.
Yeah.
Dr. Gidda, thank you so much for joining us today in the studios.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Just a quick reminder to follow us on LinkedIn and all our other social platforms. I will be back with more studio interviews from across Future Energy Asia. Stay tuned.